I need you to promise me that you're not eating something while listening to today's story, because today I have a story of the nastiest girl to ever exist. So yeah, sit back, relax, subscribe if you like stories, and let's call today's subscriber who sent in this story, let's call him Harper. So there was a girl at Harper's school, and we're just going to call her the nasty girl. That's going to be her name. We're going to keep it nice and simple, and just call this girl the nasty girl, because that's what she was. Because this all started one day when Harper sat down at a lunch table. And at this lunch table, there was this girl that he's never really talked to before, but he's seen around before, and she's going to be called the nasty girl, and you'll figure out why pretty soon. So anyways, there's kind of a bunch of other people at this table, and sure enough, this girl speaks up and says, "Hey everyone, I don't know if you've met me before, but my name is Alice or something, but we're calling her the nasty girl." And she said, "I have a little trick that I do, and yeah, it goes something like this. For $5, I will eat anything you want me to." And she said, "This goes for any day, and if I don't finish what you give me, I'll have to give the $5 back, as well as every amount, like all the money I've received from anyone here." So basically, right, you paid her $5, she ate something, and if she finished it, she kept the $5. But if you gave her something so nasty that she wouldn't be able to finish it, she wouldn't just give you your $5 back, she would give you everything back. She did specify that you can't give her legitimate rat poison or something, but you can give her anything that's super nasty, and she said, "Yeah, I will need it." So anyways, next day rolls around, and Harper sits down at that table because Harper can sit anywhere he wants, but bro, he really he just wants to be entertained. Harper kind of hates school, bro. He's kind of bored. You know how it is. And he was just given the opportunity of a lifetime to be, okay, not like of a lifetime, but he knew that this was going to be quite entertaining. So the next day happens, and this kid comes around. And this kid is bringing $5, and he's also bringing a paper bag. And, he sits down at the table, and he looks at the nasty girl and says, "Here's your $5. You got to eat this." And she's like, "Oh, what do you have in store?" So everyone kind of starts to pile around. And even people who weren't sitting at the table were kind of word was beginning to spread of this girl as if she was some kind of attraction or something that everyone would go and see, like the Eiffel Tower. But dude, people were kind of surrounding, and the guy who handed her the $5 also slips over the paper bag to her side of the room and says, "All right, eat it." So she opens it up, and sure enough, it is a sandwich, but it is not any ordinary sandwich. In this sandwich is 2 pieces of bread, mayo, and ketchup, and that is it. Maybe someone likes this, right? This is kind of going a little easy, but in my opinion, I would gag on sight at a mayo and ketchup sandwich. And the girl looks at the guy, and the guy is kind of smirking, thinking that he's going to get his $5 back, and that she's going to be humiliated for not actually being able to deal with all this nastiness. And the girl literally smirks back at him and finishes it in 4 bites. And she kind of burps at the end and is like, "All right, thanks for your $5, bro." And the kid is looking at her in complete shock. And Harper, who witnesses this, is like, "Oh my God, this girl is for real." So everyone is around the table, and they're clapping for this girl, and the guy who handed the disgusting sandwich is kind of in shock and disbelief because he was probably thinking to himself, "Oh, she's just a girl. She's too dainty and can't handle all of this." But I mean, she proved him wrong. And she finished off by saying, to anyone who's new, and she explained the rules of the game. And then she also said, "I will be here tomorrow at once again at lunch tomorrow. And if anyone wants to challenge me, I'm here and I'm ready." So anyways, the next day rolls around, and Harper sits down again, because once again, he is very interested. He even gets to the lunch table a couple minutes early so that he could get a good seat, because this girl tended to sit in the same place every single time. And sure enough, right, the girl comes to sit down, and a bunch of other guys that were there yesterday sit down at the table as well. But not just the same people that showed up the day before. I would say the crowd doubled. Word was spreading about this girl that would literally eat anything that you gave her, right? And that you just had to pay her $5. So legitimately, there was twice the size of the crowd around this time. And sure enough, another guy showed up that, was there yesterday, had a $5 bill in his hand, and sat down at the table. And the nasty girl looked up at him and smiled and says, "Oh, do we have a challenger, I see?" Everyone kind of laughs a little bit. He slaps the $5 on the table and is like, "Yeah, this is your challenge." And he takes up a jug of milk. Or not a massive jug, but like kind of a smaller jug of milk. And it was halfway full. And you could almost tell by that once he unscrewed the cap, you could smell it, man. This was not any ordinary milk. It was expired, chunky milk, bro. But sure enough, right, the nasty girl, looks the guy in the eyes and starts laughing. And the nasty girl starts laughing hysterically. So Harper's sitting there and is actually feeling a little uncomfortable because this girl's like a legit psychopath, bro. I mean, dude, if someone slapped down a bottle of spoiled milk, looked me in the eyes and said, "Drink this," I would just be like, "Hey, bro, I am not drinking that." I wouldn't laugh hysterically. But the girl says, "Give me the 5." And the guy's like, "No, I want you to drink it first." And the girl's like, "Well, I'm just saying give me the 5 because you're going to have to do it either way." And the whole crowd is like, "Oh." And the guy's like, "You're not finishing this." And thankfully, it wasn't like an entire half gallon. It wasn't a gallon of milk. But if the thing was full, I think she would have puked on sight. But anyways, the girl picks up the milk, plugs her nose, and tilts back her head. Oh my God, bro. Just reading the story was hard for me. And drinks the whole thing, chunks and all. I told you it was going to be gross. Bro, if you're eating something right now, it's literally not my fault. I warned you, bro. I legit warned you. But the whole crowd, once she slams the empty half jug or whatever of milk down, the whole crowd's like, "Oh my God. Oh my God. She actually did it. Oh my God. Oh." So the entire crowd was just going insane. Harper was just sitting there with his mouth open, and the kid who gave the big jug of spoiled milk also sat there with his mouth open and just was like, "Take the 5, man. Take the 5," and ran away, just terrified. And Harper was just like, "No way this girl keeps this up." But sure enough, the next day rolls around, and there was another challenger awaiting her. And this was even worse. Real quick, comment "nasty girl," 2 words down below, and I will heart your comment. That's the secret word, or I guess phrase of the day, is "nasty girl." And I will try and heart your comment, as that's the secret word of the day. And also, shout out to the people who've been binge watching my videos. You don't understand how much that boosts the channel. If you are binge watching the videos, please let me know in the comments so I can personally thank you. And also, if you do something in the background, leave a comment telling me if you play video games or draw or do homework or go to sleep or any of that. I'd love to know. Anyways, back to the story. It gets it's more insane beyond this point. So just a warning. So the next day rolls around and Harper gets to the table and even a bigger crowd shows up. You know how on the second day it was twice as big? This almost seemed to be twice as big again, but that really wasn't possible. I mean, they didn't have a school of that many, but it was a massive crowd. In fact, probably 90% of the cafeteria was over at this one table. It was surprising that the teachers never interfered during the whole process. I think they just simply weren't paying attention, and if they were, they simply just didn't have the effort to care. But anyways, a new challenger came, and it was a girl this time, and the girl had a little plastic bin. She took the $5, she put it on the table, and she opened up the bin, and Harper kind of retracted it a little bit, and so did most of the people in the crowd, because you could smell it, bro. You could smell what was in this bin. It was a little bit, or not a little bit, a decent-sized portion of cat vomit. I don't know, man. That's disgusting, bro. I can't. Anyways, right. The girl looks at her and says, "Cat vomit? You think you were going to get me with cat vomit? Do you not know who I am?" And yeah, I don't want to go into gross, disgusting, vile, nasty-ass detail, but let me just say that the cat vomit was no longer in the bin. And she won, so you can figure out what she did with it. And the entire crowd was like, "Oh, bro, what?" The other kids were like, "Yo." There's these 2 kids that were just like, "Dude, you're my freaking idol, bro. I want to be like you when I grow up," to this girl. And the girl takes the $5, is like, "Once again, guys, I'll be here tomorrow." And the next day rolls around, and this guy comes in, and his parents are from I don't know, I think some kind of South American country. And in that country, there's like a legendary snack or something there that it's like the spiciest chips ever. And the guy comes over and says, like, no one I know has ever been able to finish this or eat one of these. He literally gives her one chip, the $5. She eats it. And she's like, you could tell on her face that she was struggling with this one, but she still eats it and she doesn't spit it out. And it's like, she's like, I won the 5. So he's like, wow, I've never seen anyone eat this. Gives over the 5. Once again, the entire crowd goes crazy. But let me just say that sometimes there is too much of a good thing. And then when something seems to be too good to be true, maybe, the fantasy ends eventually. And things are about to take a pretty bad turn. So just a heads up. So the next day rolls around and everyone thinks that this is going to be a normal day where the girl sits down, the nasty girl, sits at the table. Someone comes with the $5 bills and something crazy, nasty, or just very difficult to eat. And that the girl is going to eat it. The crowd's going to go wild. And then, the next day is going to come around and she's going to do the same thing. But let me just say that this was the last day that this ever happened. Not to be too ominous, but the story takes quite a turn after this one event. So this kind of just, as I said, starts as kind of seemingly like a normal day. Harper gets there early, is just excited to see what's going to happen that day, sits down, and then a challenger comes in. And the challenger is like an older kid because they're all in 8th grade, and this kid was a 12th grader, right? I mean, this school had like a lot of grades. It went all the way through high school, middle school, and high school. And while they had different times, apparently like at lunch times, apparently the word of this girl has gotten all around the school. And this 12th grader is this very, he decided to sneak out of class. So he's literally like, I don't know, he's sneaking out of his own class, which is a risk because you will be penalized for that, just to attend this. So the 12th grader sits down, he's in this hoodie, and he has the $5 bill. He puts it on the table, and everyone's kind of just like used to the shtick by now. So someone comes with something crazy, puts the $5 bill down, the girl eats it, everyone goes insane, rinse and repeat. However, this time, the guy pulls out a Gatorade bottle, and the Gatorade bottle was just full of this dark, murky liquid with chunks in it. And while, it probably was going to taste disgusting, no one really knew. There was no real hype behind it because it kind of just seemed like, I don't know, a drink that would taste bad. I mean, we already had some pretty crazy stuff like a ketchup sandwich, expired milk, cat vomit, spicy chips. And now it's just like a Gatorade bottle full of murky water. Like, okay, did he go to a local pond? Is she gonna get some tadpole in her or something? Not that big of a deal. The girl looks at him and is like, whatever, right? Takes the bottle, chugs it, has this gross look on her face. She's like, ugh, what do you put in that? And the kid just freaking smiles, bro. It is the creepiest thing ever. And once again, the crowd goes wild. She takes the $5 bill, and things just proceed as normal. Well, not really, but you'll see that in a second. So anyways, right, Harper and the nasty girl had class together after lunch directly. That wasn't an important detail until now. Harper sat a little bit farther in the back, and the nasty girl normally sat kind of towards the middle, but also to the side of him, so he could get a view of the side of her face. So once again, Harper was in class, and he was kind of bored. The teacher was going on, you know how it is. He just wasn't really excited by what was going on, and he sat there kind of just being bored, and his eyes were starting to wander when he looks over at the nasty girl. And the nasty girl is sweating. She's sweating profusely. She is taking off, it's pretty cold in there, but is taking off her sweatshirt. There's beads of sweat dripping down her forehead. And at this point, Harper, who thinks the room's kind of cold, realizes that she's not sweating because of the heat. She's sweating for other reasons. And Harper is starting to be a little bit concerned. He doesn't really tie it into the fact that she would literally eat anything people gave her for money. He just thought that the girl happened to catch, maybe has a flu or something that's making her sweat. And he's looking at her because, Harper isn't going to be paying attention to what's going on in class. I don't know. It wasn't that interesting. And Harper's looking over and he's like, dang, this girl is not looking so hot. Doesn't look like she's doing so well, man. this is a little bit concerning because like the girl seemed to be like her face was getting really pale. She had beads of sweat starting to form on her forehead. It just wasn't really looking good. And Harper was kind of fixating more and more on this girl. And this is when things started taking even more of a turn for worse. Harper noticed that like she had this twitch on her leg. And it was like, not like a little, kind of like a little twitch, but it was like a muscle contraction. And Harper was like, oh God, like what on earth like is going on? And sure enough, right, the nasty girl like gets up really abruptly, is like raises her hand and says, teacher, may I go to the assumingly she was going to ask to go to the bathroom. But before she could like finish saying bathroom, she legitimately projectile vomited. I'm trying to say it weirdly so the ad bot doesn't get mad at me. Projectile vomited all over the floor, like and just like there was a kid in front of her that got completely soaked. Everyone's like, oh my God, whatever. Like people were like talking a lot. The nasty girl was kind of like, she was kind of wobbling back and forth, and then she just collapses on the ground. And the teacher's like, oh my God. And immediately, like, you know, she like, the teacher rushes over, is like, all right, this girl has just fainted and is obviously not doing so well. So they call up 911. The ambulance comes. There's like paramedic people that rush into the classroom. They get the nasty girl on one of the, like the, what's it called? I'm an idiot, bro. A stretcher. They took her off in a stretcher. Okay, that was not that hard to think of. I'm just not that smart. But anyways, right, obviously Harper did not go to the hospital with this girl, but he heard or like from around the grapevine that basically what happened is, you know, she went to the hospital. They pumped her stomach. They had to like revitalize fluids inside of her. They had to give her like antibiotics and stuff to cure some kind of like bacteria that was going crazy. Girl ended up to be totally okay at the end, but it was pretty bad is more or less what Harper heard. However, the situation does not end there because don't forget that like she had this reaction after she was given a mystery drink. So the principal was kind of going around like asking like if anyone knew what happened to this girl. And since so many people attended these events, they kind of explained what happened. And the principal's like, wait, that was a thing? And the principal's like, all right, so that's being shut down. But what exactly happened the day before she got the infection or whatever, or had the whole episode in class? And they explained that like a sketchy looking 12th grader gave her this random like bottle full of like mystery liquid. And the principal's like, a bottle full of mystery liquid, and then she collapsed in class. And they were like, yeah. And so no one was able to really recognize the 12th grader or whatever, and because they were all in, like, I think they're in 7th or 8th grade or something, so they didn't really recognize this kid. However, there were security cameras that were able to catch the kid skipping class, going to his locker, getting his like mystery like bottle or whatever. So they found the kid, they confronted him, and they asked him what he put in there. And so Harper doesn't know exactly what he put in there, but apparently he put some of the most heinous stuff ever, and it was so bad that the kid got suspended for 2 whole weeks. Like, 2 weeks of suspension is a huge deal. So Harper has no idea what he put in there, but whatever he put in there made this girl that could take all this disgusting stuff literally collapse in class, and also it got him 2 weeks of suspension. So you can only imagine how bad that was.
Click on the video on screen right now. I know you'll enjoy it. Just click it, do it.